Hey there, cat fans. Welcome to Meowster Podcast. I'm Rebecca Zish. That's Tim Black.
Howdy.
Oh, howdy. Oh.
Howdy, ma'am.
Were you?
I mimed tipping my hat just
He
there.
did.
Did you see that?
He did. He tipped his hat to me. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear.
Well, welcome. Thank you for listening. Here we are. This, cat fans, is our fourth Halloween-themed episode or spookily-themed episode in the history of Meowster Podcast, which is baffling me because I can't believe we've been doing it this long.
I know, right? Hooray for us.
Okay. Huzzah. So since we started the podcast, every episode that's come out on October 15th, we have done some sort of spooky topic.
Yeah.
And you can go back and listen to those. We encourage you to do that.
Yeah, go back and listen to all of them.
Go to iTunes. Hey, you know what I want to encourage people to do?
What's that?
Rate us and leave a review on iTunes.
Yeah, that would be swell.
I understand it helps other people find it.
Oh, great.
So the more ratings we have, the more likely it is that we'll come up in a top search. So if you want other people to be able to find us as well, then you need to go and do something on iTunes, and then that'll help.
Fantastic.
Of course, if you're not going to give us a 5, then just
disregard what we just said.
Forget, skip right over that part that we just. But we'd like you to do that.
Yes.
And you can leave a review there, and you can, do the same thing at YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out our YouTube page. All of our podcasts since we started putting them on YouTube are on YouTube. We're not going all the way back.
No, but they're all there on iTunes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're also all there on our website. So
yes.
That's
so
easy to find too.
If there's any that you have missed,
including all of the spooky episodes we've done.
The spookisodes.
There you go. To not coin a phrase, please.
It's a little
not my favorite.
Okay.
But I see where you're going.
All right.
Because that is certainly something, if you hadn't done it, somebody else would have.
Of course.
Or somebody already has.
Yes, I'm sure it probably has already.
Could be the name of a podcast.
Oh, boy. Yes.
Maybe they don't even talk about spooky things. Maybe it's like a guy named something,
It's
his.
It's an episode about one of our favorite minor characters on Top Cat.
It's a whole podcast about him. We're not doing it, though.
No.
So today, what we decided to talk about is a classic spooky film involving cats. It's actually titled Cat People from 1942.
Yeah, this is our oldest film that we've talked about.
Yeah, that's true.
Rhubarb was 1951.
Ah, good to know.
I think this was our oldest one.
Wow, so poor Rhubarb.
No longer holds that distinction.
Okay, so Cat People, this is the 1942 Cat People. There will be spoilers on this episode. So if you've not seen it and you want to, stop now.
Yes, and then go watch it.
Go watch it.
And then come back and listen.
But don't mistakenly watch the one from the 70s.
Yeah.
Which is supposedly a remake, but it's not really.
No.
And
it's supposedly really terrible.
And we may talk about that on this podcast too.
Yeah.
It's very possible that we may do that.
But this is the classic original.
Yes. And so I was under the impression that it was a very scary film.
Oh, yeah.
I really was. Like, this has been listed in, classic horror film lists. And and I don't like scary films.
No, you don't.
So I was concerned and I was kind of psyching myself up to watch it until you told me that
it's suspenseful, not really all that scary.
Folks, he promised me.
He did.
Promised me that it wouldn't be scary. And so for those of you who don't like scary films, I will tell you it is not scary.
No.
Because I am very easily scared by movies.
Yeah.
And more so, I'm more easily scared by things in real life, which is why I won't go to those haunted houses.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, those are terrible.
Those are the worst. I hate those.
I do not like it when people jump out at me.
Yeah, no, I don't like that either. There's no need for that.
I don't know why people find that enjoyable.
I don't either.
Because it's the only way those stay in business.
Yeah.
Is if people say, you know what I would like to do on Friday night?
Yeah.
I'd like to pay someone
to jump out at me and scream in my face.
And to pay more than I think it's actually worth, too.
Right.
You know, it's like $10 a person or something.
Right.
Or more, maybe. I don't know. I haven't been to one.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It's been so long since the last one I've been to was probably in the mid-90s.
How much do you think it cost you then?
Probably $10.
Yeah. So it's got to be like 15 or
Maybe
20
15 now. Yeah. I have no idea what the going rate on a haunted house is these days.
So here's my Friday night money. I'm going to give it to these amateur actors.
Right.
So somebody will jump out at me and make me scream. Sounds terrible.
And that's not technically, that's not really scaring you. That's startling you.
Yes.
Scaring somebody is completely different. So if you want to be startled, go to a haunted house.
To be startled.
Yeah.
That sounds... Like, if you enjoy this sort of thing, that's your prerogative.
This is your time of year. Go have at it.
Yeah.
I love scary movies. Hate haunted houses because they're just trying to startle me. I don't like being startled.
So you don't like startling movies?
No, I don't want startling. The scary movies often have startling moments in them. But a good one, a well-crafted one, is genuinely scary.
Okay, well...
Hey, how was that haunted house? Oh, it was startling.
Oh, my God. This is very... Okay, all right. Sorry, folks. Woo! So, may I say that in my experience as the person who is most easily startled and scared...
Okay.
That cat people is neither startling nor scary.
No. Suspenseful, though, like I said, right?
Yeah, but
not crazy
lots
suspenseful.
Of times in suspenseful movies, then it's sort of to release the tension. There's a startling moment.
Yeah.
That makes you go, and then you can relax.
Right.
And that doesn't even happen in this movie.
There's one.
I guess.
There's one kind of.
But I wasn't all that tense.
No.
From the suspense that it was a real release.
But in 1942, that was huge.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. People were running out of the theater screaming. I bet.
It's probably why it's on these lists of horror films, right?
Yeah.
All right. So what is Cat? So Cat People, 1942, directed by
Jacques Tourneur.
By the famed film producer
Val Lewton.
There you go. So something funny is that I was talking to my brother, telling him that we were watching this for this podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And he said, is that Jacques, is it Touraine? How do you say it?
Tourneur.
Tourneur. He said, is that Jacques Tourneur or Val Lewton?
Yes.
And I said, I think it's both.
Yes.
And he said, huh. And I was like, why? He said, well, I was having lunch with Dad today, and he brought up both those guys.
Wow, that's so weird and random.
I know. That's my family, Tim.
Almost.
We're just always talking about stuff like that, like old movies.
It's almost, dare I say, scary.
No. It's not scary. It's unusual. Unexpected, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was funny, I thought.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so my dad and my brother had been having lunch just talking about old movies. My father brought up both of those people.
Jeez. What are the odds?
Oh, I don't want to calculate the odds. That sounds difficult.
At least 100 to 1.
All right, so let's actually tell people what this movie is about.
Okay.
If we can, I don't know. It seems simple, maybe not. I don't know. Here's what I think it's about.
Okay.
There's a woman from Serbia.
Mm-hmm. Just like Tesla.
Oh, weird. Oh, man. More coincidences.
I know. We can't take it.
Wow. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
And she believes that she might be under the curse or be under a curse that was put upon her people.
Yeah, her village.
From her village generations ago when they were enslaved.
Yes.
Like, she has this long monologue.
Yeah, there's a whole long thing where she explains it.
Yeah, so she said that her people were enslaved and they continued to be God-fearing, but then couldn't anymore and were turned into panthers. Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Anyway, so this woman, she's now living in America.
Yes.
In an apartment that's suspiciously close to a zoo.
Yes, it's right in the neighborhood.
So that when she opens the window to her apartment...
Yes, you can hear the lions.
Well, I think she's hearing the panthers.
Well, those too. Well, she's having a conversation with the guy. Yeah. And he's like, "What is that noise?" And she's like, "Oh, that's the lions. You can hear the lions."
Oh,
she said,
I thought she just said that's the cat.
Well, she did say the panthers. She said sometimes you can hear the panthers screaming like a woman, and I don't like it when I hear them. She likes the sound of the lions. She doesn't mind them so much, but the panthers freak her out.
Yeah, it seems like that apartment would be inexpensive. Not for the noises, but for the smell. Yes. Like, it literally overlooks the zoo.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And one of my biggest questions about this movie is, what zoo is that? Like, what city is this, and what zoo is that?
I don't know. My brain kind of filled in some details. It's like it's New York City, and that's Central Park Zoo or the Bronx Zoo or something. It can't be the Central Park Zoo. It would be like in the middle of the park, right? It wouldn't be like an apartment building right next to it.
Well, that's just it. I don't think it's any zoo anywhere.
Yeah.
It makes no sense geographically.
That there would be a zoo right next to an apartment building.
No.
Yeah.
You would never build a zoo right next to an apartment building. And not only that, or build the apartment building right next to the zoo. Right. It just wouldn't happen. Yeah. But not only that, but she goes to that zoo by herself at night.
Yeah, she does.
And there's no security there.
No.
And that I find very disturbing.
Either that or she's sneaking in, but I don't really think she is sneaking in.
No, she has no countenance or physiognomy that would indicate that she was sneaking.
No burglary tools.
No, there's nothing. She's not tiptoeing.
Yeah, no, she's just having a cat. It's as if it were noon.
It's as if it were her own backyard.
Right, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah. So I have trouble with that.
Okay, well, yeah.
I also have trouble, and I know we're not really talking about what happens in the movie, but I have trouble with the way this zoo is depicted. Because we really only see the panther at the zoo.
Yeah.
And the panther is kept in an elevated concrete slab that's like 10 feet by 10 feet.
Yeah.
With just a cage around it.
Yeah, it's a horrific situation.
So bothered me.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I can't get past it.
I know, it bothered me too.
That poor panther.
I know. That's kind of the way zoos used to be, though.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they used to do zoos that way. Just like, oh, we got an animal. We'll build a cage, put him in it, let people walk by and take a look. That's pretty much how it worked.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see that. I mean, I guess I know that's true, but I didn't need to see it.
Yeah.
And I understand that that's all being done on a soundstage.
Right.
That's not a real zoo.
No.
No. I mean, it only has one animal in it. It's the only animal we ever see is the one panther.
Yeah.
On the one concrete slab with the cage around it. Ugh, it's awful.
It is
Can
bad.
you imagine?
Oh, I know.
No grass. Nothing.
No, I know.
And then there's a scene where they show him eating, and they've just thrown him like a giant piece of raw meat.
A hunk of meat, yeah.
And he's laying on the concrete. I mean, so it's cold at night and hot during the day.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's got a place that he can go into to get shelter.
No, and it doesn't even seem to have a top on it. Like, I was thinking if he were a good enough jumper,
he just
get come right out.
I don't, I'd have to go back.
And they're being, the only person who seems to be caring for them is a sort of drunk custodian type.
I in my notes, I wasn't sure whether to call him a zookeeper or just like a guy that's cleaning the cage. Yeah, he was there to clean the cages.
With no protection.
Yeah.
Like, he just goes in and out of those cages with a key.
Which he always leaves behind.
He's always leaving behind. And, of course, that's foreshadowing.
Yes,
when he leaves the key in the lock, you're like, well, I know what's going to happen now. Even if in 1942 that what happened next came as a surprise to anybody... They just had no sense of narrative structure.
Right. I think they could have put that in the first movie ever. ever. And people could maybe put two and two together and say, oh, that's going to be something. Look at that.
Oh, look at that guy leaving that key behind. Look at how he leaves that key in that lock. Oh, my goodness. All right. So this Serbian woman.
Irina Dubrovna.
Okay. She is in the zoo drawing.
Yeah, she's sketching the panther.
Yeah, and she doesn't like her drawings, so she keeps crumpling them up and throwing them away, but she keeps missing the trash can.
Yeah, so a litter bug.
Yeah. Thank you. Some charming
40s
man
right.
is picking up her trash.
Yeah.
And
guy with a hat.
Yeah, and for some reason she just invites him back to her apartment.
Yeah, they're hanging out there at the zoo. They're having they're pretty much just having small talk. It doesn't seem like they're having a very meaningful conversation.
No.
And then she's walking home, which is very close by, and he's walking on.
He doesn't comment on that. It seems like you should say, why are you choosing to live so close to the zoo?
You mind if I walk you home? Expecting to be I'm in for like a 15-block walk or whatever. No, it's right here, just right here. So that's another reason why their relationship couldn't really develop very much. They didn't have much time to.
They didn't have very far to go.
It's just right there.
I know.
So
so she invites him in for tea.
Right.
And then I guess they hit it off.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Conversation goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he leaves because he makes some sort of pithy comment about, well, if you're invited for tea, you can't expect to stay for dinner.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, right. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay. Well, so long, Charlie. And, so off he goes. But the next time we see them together, and I'm jumping around here, but the next time we see them together, they're declaring their love for each other.
Yeah, I know.
And I was thinking, well, things were different in the 40s.
Yeah.
You just kind of met someone you had sort of any kind of spark with.
Okay.
Let's get married.
All right.
I'm clearly in love with you. Let's get married. And that's what happens.
That is what happens.
It's crazy.
It really is. It really is. Next thing, we're in. We've heard her tell him, his name's Oliver. Mm-hmm. She's told Oliver this story about
his name is Oliver Reed.
I know, which
is a British actor.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So she tells him about, the curse and all this thing. And she's got this wacky statue in her apartment.
It's bananas.
Of King John of Serbia. Is that a real thing?
I have no idea. I should have looked it up.
I know. But this guy, this king on a horse.
Yeah, because he says, you mean the Magna Carta?
Yeah, that guy, that King John. No.
No, of course not.
What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
Serbian King John.
Everybody knows Serbian King John.
But anyway, so we've heard all about this, her curse and this whole thing. And next thing we know, we're at some sort of party. Like a wedding, I don't know if it's a real wedding reception or if they're just, I was unaware exactly of what it was exactly.
It's all very confusing.
But they did mention that they were now married.
Yeah.
So they got married.
Yeah.
And they're in some, I guess, maybe a Serbian restaurant or something.
Yes. And it turns out that this young Serbian woman did not know there was a Serbian restaurant in New York.
Yeah.
But this was an interesting moment. It laid some groundwork because there's a woman that Oliver works with.
Yes.
And she has the opportunity to say in that scene in the Serbian restaurant,
yeah.
If you want to know about anything in this city, you just, I know about all the weird things in the city, so, ooh, foreshadowing. What other weird things does she know about in this,
She's like 40s Yelp.
She knows it all. She knows all the places.
Yeah, she does.
She knows all the ins and outs, all the hot spots.
I bet she picked that place.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
Nobody else knew there was a Serbian restaurant in the city.
Okay.
The only person who knew is the non-Serbian woman in the movie.
I know where we can have our weird sort of kind of a wedding reception, but not really. Gathering party where everybody is his friends and you don't know anyone.
She doesn't have any friends.
No, she doesn't.
She says that in the first scene of the movie. Oh, I don't have any friends.
She doesn't know anybody in town.
Yeah. Clearly, Oliver was at work saying, "Oh, I'm marrying this Serbian gal." And the other woman said,
Alice,
she said, "Hey, I know a Serbian restaurant."
leave it to me. I'll make the reservations.
Yeah, I got this. No worries. Yeah, it turns out, and I'm jumping around, and we warn people.
We're going to jump
around.
But
it turns out that Oliver is really in love with Alice later on.
Yeah.
And that Alice has been in love with him forever.
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction to that was, I thought Alice was a lesbian.
She kind of comes off that way when we see her at work.
She comes off as a 40s lesbian.
Yeah.
And so I thought that there might be something kind of other thing that might have happened.
Oh, that would have been an interesting twist.
Well, I think it's because I know a little bit about the 1970s one, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
right.
it was like, oh, maybe, or maybe I don't. Maybe I think I know something about the 1970s one that I don't really know.
But they work at some sort of shipbuilding company.
They are naval engineers.
Ah, yes.
I read that.
They work
online.
They work in an office with a lot of T-squares hanging off the wall. A lot.
They're
of them.
naval engineers.
Okay.
I think they design naval ships.
Yeah.
But they actually work for the Navy. And I think that's supposed to explain why he's not away at war.
I get it.
You know?
That makes sense.
Like I don't think there are a lot of men available at this time.
Yeah.
Right? 1942, we're right in the heart of it.
Yeah.
So as naval engineers, they're needed stateside
to develop battleships.
Well, yeah, to perfect them, to improve them, to fix design flaws, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole scene where they go to a museum
and they're looking at boats.
They're just looking at model ships.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I have never seen that scene in a movie before. I mean, unless it has something to do with a heist they're going to pull off or something. Right. And so then I began to think that. I was like, what's happening here?
Whoa.
What are they doing here?
No, Oliver and Alice just love ships.
Yeah, Oliver and Alice. That's what their love is about.
Yeah.
It is about ship engineering.
Yeah.
No, I really did. I was like, oh, I thought she was going to be lesbian. I thought, not that they would have said it in 1942.
Right.
But, she was the Barbara Stanwyck of the piece.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So let's go back.
Okay.
So the couple meets. They have their non-date.
Right.
When they meet.
They immediately fall in love.
Yeah, because he goes out the next day. He says to her as he's leaving, oh, I hate this kind of thing in movies, by the way. Can I tell you something that I hate in movies?
Yes.
As he's leaving their first date, or leaving her apartment on the day they met.
Right.
He says to her, dinner tomorrow?
Yeah.
And she nods in agreement, like she's saying yes to a date.
Right.
And then he just leaves.
Yeah.
And there's no establishing of
what
time
Where
will
are we
I
gonna
pick
meet?
you up here?
Right.
Oh my God. Or do I have your phone number? Or I'll call you tomorrow. There's nothing like that.
Yeah. No, that is.
That drives me crazy.
Well, the movie was only 73 minutes long.
That's true, folks. It's only 73 minutes long.
If they had filled in some of these details.
It would have been at least 90.
Yeah, it would have been movie length.
Or 76 minutes long. No, but that drives me crazy. Because it's not any harder to say, dinner tomorrow, I'll pick you up at 8. Like,
I know this great Serbian place.
He doesn't, though.
Not at that point.
He didn't know at that point. Yeah. Okay. So ridiculous. Anyway, so he left, and he was already so in love with her.
Yeah.
That the very next day, he goes to a pet shop, and he gets her a kitten.
Yeah, I know.
Now, he doesn't even know if she's allergic to cats, if she likes cats, if she's allowed to have a pet in the apartment.
Right.
He knows nothing.
No, he just shows up with a kitten. And
that is the worst thing to do, by the way. Don't ever get somebody a pet as a gift.
No, that really is bad. And she's got this statue of King John of Serbia with a cat impaled on a sword.
And he goes, I'm going to go get her a kitten.
She must like cats. I'm going to go get her one. She doesn't have one. I won't get any food bowls or anything like that.
No!
Or a litter box.
Well, back then they just would let the cats out. Yeah. But it is an apartment upstairs. I'm not sure where he thinks the cat's going to go. I don't know. Maybe back then, didn't people just tear up newspapers?
Probably, yeah.
Put them in some old box or something.
Right.
Anyway, it's a Siamese kitten. And the other problem is he doesn't get it and take it right to her. He gets it.
Right.
It's put in a tiny, tiny box that it doesn't fit in.
Right.
That has like some holes punched in the top for air, I guess.
Right.
And then
office.
He takes the box to work.
Yeah.
With the kitten in it.
Yeah. So
and people are at work going, all these naval engineers, they're going, hey, what's that sound? Well, it's a kitten terrified and angry because it's in a little tiny box with no food or water.
Yes.
And probably has to pee.
Probably. Yeah.
Oh my God. So in this film, we see cruelty to domestic cats, cruelty to wild cats.
Oh boy.
You made me watch this.
Hey.
I don't know.
Maybe it is scary after all.
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary in a lot of ways. So the cat doesn't like her. The kitten doesn't like her. The kitten hisses at her.
Oh, yeah. The kitten, immediately upon seeing her, just freaks out.
And, of course, Oliver makes a point of letting her know that, well, the kitten loved Alice.
Right.
He says,
I don't understand.
He says, Alice, the girl at my office, how does she know that? She just met you yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's saying the girl at my office, she's an engineer too.
Yeah, exactly. He makes it sound like she's just there to get coffee for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's good at changing typewriter ribbons.
Right. Yeah.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
So he makes it clear that the kitten played with Alice all day, and now the kitten's hissing
Right.
at whatever her name is.
Arena.
Okay. And she says, cats don't like me. Cats have never liked me. Okay. All right. All right, Arena. And she says, well, you got him at a pet store. Why don't we go back to the pet store and we'll just pick out something else.
Right.
And they get there, and as soon as Arena walks in this pet shop, the animals go crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a fantastic performance by a woman playing the owner of the pet store.
Yes.
She's so good. And when the animals go nuts when Arena walks in, the woman in the pet store says, all that caterwauling.
It's great.
Yeah. I wrote down one of her lines.
Yeah.
The pet store lady.
Mm-hmm.
She says, you can fool anybody, but landy dearie me, you can't fool a cat. They seem to know who's not right, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Are you following along, audience?
But that's how she says it.
Yeah, I know.
I practiced that.
Yes, very good.
Thank you. They seem to know who's not right, if you know what I mean. Landy dearie me.
Landy dearie me.
That's not an expression, is it?
I'm going to start using it.
I will tell you, there is an expression used in this film that really bothered me.
Yeah.
At one point, Alice is walking with Oliver after they've declared their love for each other. And, he's told Arena that he's in love with Alice. They're walking together. And Alice gets the shivers.
Oh, yeah.
And Oliver says, are you cold?
I remember this, yeah.
She says, a cat walked over my grave.
Yeah.
And I immediately thought, is that an expression? I don't think that's an expression. So, as I do...
You looked it up.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
And when you look up the phrase, a cat walked over my grave, all you'll really find in your search are references to this scene in this film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that set of lines, are you cold? A cat walked over my grave. That's on a bunch of different websites about movies and quotes from movies, right?
Okay.
So it's not an expression,
No.
right? The expression is someone walked over my grave.
I see.
The indication being, this is funny because, like I said, I was talking to my brother yesterday.
Yeah.
And I told him about this, right?
Yeah.
And he said, so So is that meant to indicate that you have purchased a plot if you know where you're going to be buried
And
someone's walking over it? And I said, well, maybe, but also you don't have to know where you might be buried in the future. It's sort of a supernatural idea that someday you will be buried.
Right.
And even if you don't know where that is, someone's walked over that spot, right? And so Alex agreed that was an okay interpretation.
I agree with that.
That's reasonable.
Yeah.
But the other interesting thing that happened in researching this was I found that there is an expression, a goose walked over my grave. That is an actual expression.
I like that.
A goose walks over my grave. And my question is, like, how many cemeteries are being built near lots of geese? But that became an expression at some point.
Wow. Jeez, I don't know.
A goose walked over my grave. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Okay. But in that conversation with my brother yesterday, he then asked me, he said, well, what other kind of cat expressions are being used? Like, does anyone in the movie say, don't let the cat out of the bag? And I was like, no.
Not really.
Nobody says, no. And I went back through all my notes because if anyone said anything like that, I would have been like, tippity tap, 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 write that down.
Right.
No, but no.
That's the only one.
Yeah, so in the movie, there's a reference to caterwauling.
Yeah.
And then this cat walk over my grave thing, that isn't even a thing. And other than that...
That's it.
Yeah, and they missed 1,000 opportunities for cat puns.
Yeah, well...
Which they never miss on the Kitten Bowl.
That's true.
Yeah. So maybe that's the point of the Kitten Bowl. They're catching up.
They're catching up.
They're like, well, early on in the 20th century, they missed a lot of opportunities for cat puns.
They did.
We're not going to miss those now.
Yeah. Well, they traded the kitten in for a canary or something. A little bird. Did you notice in this pet shop they had a monkey?
I did.
So there's a monkey in New York City in a pet shop.
We don't know that it's New York City.
Well, some city like New York City.
Okay.
And somebody's going to go into this pet shop and buy it, and then they're going to get in a cab. Hey, Mac, can you take me and my monkey up to the Upper West Side, please?
Hey, we're going uptown.
We're going uptown with my monkey.
Going up to the East 70s.
I thought that was curious.
It's set dressing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a zoo. They could have put the monkey in the zoo.
I don't think he was a zoo monkey. I think he was a pet monkey. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That canary, though, dies.
Yeah.
And...
dies of fright.
Yes. And it was funny because I wrote that. I couldn't tell what was happening in that scene when the canary died. And I wrote, her canary dies, ... of fright, ? Yes. It's like, what just happened there?
Yes.
And it turns out that's what she interpreted
That's
happened.
Exactly
she
what
thought
happened.
The canary was afraid of her. And I guess we're supposed to come to the conclusion that the canary would be afraid of her because she's a cat.
Right.
If she has this cat curse on her, right? She also gets sent to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And the psychiatrist is a creepazoid.
Big time.
He is so creepy.
Yeah.
He's a creeper. Creepy creeper. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's the worst.
That was another recommendation from Alice.
Oh, yeah, because she knows everything.
She's the 40s Yelp.
She knows it all. She's like, I don't know. I was going to say WebMD, but that's not, you can't look, can you look up doctors on WebMD?
I'm not
Probably,
sure.
maybe. I don't know.
I know you can look up doctors on Yelp.
Yeah, sorry, not the custodian. Those custodian's weird too. I just think the custodian's drunk.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But the psychiatrist, when she goes in for her appointment, he says some super creepy things about, he asks her if she's resisting desire to create evil and then talks to her about everyone's desire for death.
Yeah.
Huh?
What?
And every time she sees him, he's In fact, there's a whole scene where I guess he's stalking her?
Yeah, because she stops going. He knows that she goes to the zoo every day. But she he shows up at the zoo one day
Uh-huh.
to confront her or talk to her some more to get her upset again, I guess.
Yeah.
What
actually,
happened.
I think that's when he says the thing about resisting desire to create evil.
I think you're right.
Because that's when she has the key, but she doesn't use it to open the cage.
Right.
But, so I got my notes out of order, but the first time she went to the psychiatrist, he hypnotized her.
Mm-hmm.
And when he brought her out from being hypnotized,
Yeah.
she was saying all kinds of things about Serbia and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he brings her out from under and he says, so you were saying about the cats tormenting you? It's like, what? Who are you? What? And she says this thing about, at night, the tread of their feet whispers in my brain, I have no peace, for they are in me.
Yeah.
Whoa. And I thought that everybody who lives with a cat has the treads of their feet whispering in their brains because they're moving around all the time.
Right.
Like you're trying to sleep.
The treads of these cats are moving around in my brain.
That's
I got to get
right.
up in 3 hours.
Yeah, the treads of their feet are whispering in my brain. And then they're literally yelling at you. You know, they're like next to the bed going, meow, meow, meow.
Yes.
So the whispering of treading feet is nothing compared to the... She doesn't
Nothing
know. She
compared
doesn't
to-
have a cat.
Right. Nothing compared to a hungry Dudley at 4 a.m.
Yeah. In that same opening scene, too, the
Yeah.
psychiatrist, I stopped to make sure I had this all written down.
Okay.
I had to pause and go back several times to get this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because it was just so creepy. I had to write it down. So the psychiatrist says,
It is a horror movie after all.
yes, but he's not scary. He's
just creepy. He's the kind of guy
he's
that you
leery, stocky, creepy.
Exactly. Right. He's not horror movie creepy.
No.
He's everyday creepy.
He's a guy she was nice to once and now he won't stop calling. You know?
He has a walking stick with a sword in it.
He's so irritating. He's the kind of guy, he thinks he's sexy. He's not. But he really thinks he is. Like, he really thinks he has an allure for the ladies.
Right.
Especially this lady.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God.
Well, yeah, he's fascinated by the story that she has told him, and he kind of wants in on some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We find that out later.
Later
But
on.
I'm going to, so he says this to her. So this is like, I spent all this time making sure I had this word for
Right,
word.
okay.
So I want to read it.
Okay.
He says, and the cat women of your village too, you told me of them. Women who, in jealousy or anger or out of their own corrupt passions, can change into great cats, like panthers. And if one of these women were to fall in love, and if her lover were to kiss her, take her into his embrace, she would be driven by her own evil to kill him. So all he's doing, he's just repeating what she has already said.
Right.
But in a super creepy way.
Yes, in a very creepy way. But let's also say at this point, we haven't explained that is basically what this curse is about.
That's the curse. Yeah. It's not just that they're panthers, but yeah.
And at this point, they've been married for months.
Yeah.
She and Oliver, and apparently they've never kissed.
No. Which is why you don't blame him when he says, you know what, I'm in love with Alice.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Where it's like,
not only will she not kiss me, but she's also a little bit
crazy. Because she might use this belief in this curse to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's using this curse to keep me at arm's length. We're sleeping in separate rooms.
Yeah.
The door is shut.
She also has told the psychiatrist that her father died in a mysterious accident in the woods and that her mother was called a catwoman and a witch by the people in their village. And I'm thinking, well, a mysterious accident in the woods. So did her mother kill her father or not?
Yeah, well, if he kissed her.
Let's just, call a spade a spade. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, she had already said this thing, like, I can't kiss you because if I kiss you, I might turn into a panther. I mean, I don't think she said that exactly.
She didn't say it directly, but it was...
Yeah, but the way the psychiatrist said it, jealousy or anger out of their own corrupt passions. If her lover were to kiss her, take her into his embrace, she would be driven by her own evil.
Oh, my goodness.
To kill him.
What a crazy curse.
I know. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Oh.
I'd love for there to be another character that's like, have you ever heard of such a thing? It seems to me like this young lady is a bit of a Looney Tunes.
Oh, Landy Deary Me, whatever the,
the pet store. Yeah, I'm doing more like a lady that you're in line with at the, the bagel shop.
Of course.
If we're in New York, right? Like, I mean, she's a lovely young lady. She is.
Don't get me wrong.
She made a beautiful bride. Did you see the party they threw at the Serbian restaurant?
It was delightful. It was lovely.
It was to die for.
It was a Serbian place. Who knew they had those?
I had no idea. I'd never been. I didn't know. I said Serbian. I don't know if I'm Serbian.
It's some kind of Russian, I think.
What is that voice?
I don't know.
I didn't know what they were going to have. I thought maybe some knish, maybe some borscht. It was very nice.
Yeah.
There was some herring. I enjoy a little pickled herring every so often.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going. But I'll tell you, the music was not to my taste. It was a little clangy. It was a little clangy.
They had some kind of a weird banjo.
Yeah. So, so we gave our thank yous and we made our excuses. We said our goodnights. But it was a lovely affair. It was a lovely affair, and she made a beautiful bride. But
no matter how much we clanged on our glasses, they just would not kiss.
She made a beautiful bride, but it turns out that she is, well, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, she's insane. Let's call a spade a spade.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. Anyway, I'm done.
Okay.
I won't do any more of that.
All right.
So one of the creepy things the psychiatrist does, amongst other creepy things he does, is he actually tells Arena. Okay.
Yeah.
He basically says, like, I'll kiss you and you'll see that you won't turn into a panther and kill me. You won't turn into a cat and kill me. And she basically says, like, but I don't want to do that, And he's like, I mean, he's like grabbing her and like,
now this is therapy. You have to do this.
Right. But he's basically saying, I think what he's really saying is, that other guy, that guy you're married to, he's just not man enough to make you kiss him.
Right.
Right. Like, I'll show you.
Right.
Like, kiss me and you won't turn into a cat. And clearly this curse will be nonsense, right?
And then you can go home and kiss him as much as you want.
I think he thinks, like, if I can get her to kiss me, there'll be no going back.
How can she resist my mustache?
My mustache and my walking stick. And then the question arises, like, why aren't you serving in the war? I mean, what's wrong with you? Flat feet, as it said.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, But her response to that is just like, but I don't want to kiss you. And it's like, how do you know who you want to kiss? Apparently you've never kissed anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, what do you know? But I wouldn't want to kiss that guy either.
She made the right choice.
Yeah. So at this point, Oliver wants to divorce her.
Yes, because Alice, he's realized.
He wants to be with Alice. And so the psychiatrist tells him that you can annul it. You can have it annulled. Mm-hmm. Or you can have her committed to an asylum because she's a danger to herself and others.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you can't annul or divorce her.
Right.
Because you can't divorce an insane person.
Right.
I looked this up. I was like, is that a thing?
Yeah.
I tried so hard to find out if that was a thing. And
You couldn't find anything?
I couldn't. I mean, maybe.
It would seem to me that if they could determine that they were insane at the time of the wedding, that they were unfit to enter into this contract, and they could dissolve it based on that.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's, because that's interesting, that maybe the reason why, at least in 1942, you couldn't divorce an insane person was because you're saying that they can't speak for themselves and like sign paper.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking that it was a law.
Right.
That you couldn't get a divorce. Because it used to be incredibly difficult to get divorces.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. That's why people would go to Reno.
Right.
Because the Nevada laws were like, yeah, you want a divorce? Have a divorce.
Sure. What was the deal? You had to be a resident of Nevada for 10 days or something?
I might have been more than that.
A month or something
they
like that.
They had apartments.
Yeah.
People could just park themselves for a while.
Mm-hmm. To establish that residency requirement.
Yeah, I think it was probably more like 20 or even 30 days.
Yeah, it might have been.
I don't think 10 days.
No, I don't know.
I think, they get your money for a while is the idea.
Right. Yeah, of course.
You can have a divorce here, but you got to eat in our diners and stay in our motels or gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you have your divorce. Yeah, why not? Yeah, okay. I wasn't thinking about it that way, though. I was thinking that there was a law that said that if someone's been declared insane,
right,
that you can't divorce them. But then it also occurred to me that maybe it was just a sort of a social moray.
Yeah, that makes sense,
like, well, you can't divorce an insane person.
She needs your help.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
What was that voice I just did? You can't divorce an insane person. What is that?
I don't know.
It's a little bit carnival barker. Step right up. See the people who divorce insane people.
Oh my God.
See the cat woman. See her kiss a man and turn into a panther and scratch his face off.
Wow.
That's what I kept thinking was going to happen. Look, the only person in this movie who's truly in danger, well, the psychiatrist later, but the only person who's really in danger from the cat person, I know it's called cat people.
Yeah.
Well, there is a cat person in the Serbian restaurant.
Right.
There's a woman who looks unmistakably like a cat.
She does.
And she seems to know.
She knows that she's a cat. That
Yeah,
Irena is a cat, but she called her sister.
She calls her sister.
Yeah.
Hey, do you watch Orphan Black?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. Because one of the clones on Orphan Black was raised maybe in Serbia. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. And when she talks to the other clones, because it's a show about clones.
Okay.
Like one actress plays like 8 parts.
Yeah.
So the one who's from Serbia or whatever, when she talks to the other clones, she calls them sistra.
Oh.
And that's what that reminded me of.
Interesting.
She'll say sistra. And I was like, oh, interesting. Maybe the writers of Orphan Black have seen this movie too many times.
Maybe they have.
Yeah. The other clones don't call each other sister. That's this particular one. That's what she says.
Ah.
She's also insane.
So there you go.
That's perhaps, maybe it is all related.
It is, yes.
Maybe.
Might have something to do with it.
So is that cat people refers to one woman in the Serbian restaurant?
Well, and then all of the people in the village, I guess, which we don't ever see them. They're referred to. She is one of the cat people.
Sure, of course. Okay. But Alice is actually stalked by cats, like real cats.
Yeah.
They're real cats that follow Alice around.
Yes.
And she gets really freaked out. But we find out there's another weird thing that happens, which is, so Oliver had the kitten in the box in the office.
Yeah.
It turns out there's a cat that lives in the office.
There is.
So it wasn't so weird that he brought a cat to work.
That's true. Yeah.
But we don't find that out till much later. And we barely find it out. There's a cat in the office named John Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones, yes, I love that.
Who, of course, was a naval commander in the American Revolutionary War.
Yep.
And so it makes sense that a cat that lives in a naval engineering office is named John Paul Jones.
Right.
But Alice is leaving the office by herself late one night.
Right. After getting a phone call in which nobody speaks to her.
It's such a trope.
And that was, of course, that was Irina. Because Irina is starting to be like, she knows what's going on. I don't think he's come out and said to her yet, or has he?
Oh, he's totally told her,
okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But she's starting her stalking of Alice now.
Yeah, and so Alice, before she leaves the office, she says goodnight to John Paul Jones, the cat.
Yes.
Yeah, and that just for a second I went, oh, so it's like a cat office. So maybe people thought when he brought in the Siamese kitten, he was just bringing in a kitten to live in the office.
Yeah, why not? You've already got one. Why not another one?
Yeah, who's to say we don't need another one? So she says goodbye to John Paul Jones, and then she goes out on the street, and then there's like alley cats everywhere she goes that night, walking around the street that are jumping out at her and hissing at her and going meow and all that. I mean, there's just a lot of that.
Yes.
And for a woman who likes cats,
yeah,
because she likes John Paul Jones, she and the Siamese kitten got along. You know, this is supposed to be very disconcerting.
I'll tell you what I took from that. What I took from that was that Irina was following her, and these cats, with all their hissing and all their caterwauling, was in response to her.
Into Karina, you mean?
Yeah, response to Irina being in the same vicinity.
Karina. I don't know what anybody's name is.
Being so close to her and following her.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that. Yeah. Sure, why not?
Okay.
All right. Anyway, she goes, I guess she lives in like one of these women's apartment buildings.
Yeah. Like bosom buddies.
And there's a gymnasium in it.
Yeah.
With an indoor swimming pool.
In the basement.
In 1942.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how deep you would have to dig to put a swimming pool in the basement of an apartment building?
First, you've got to dig the basement. Then you've got to dig 6 more feet down at least.
Well, you've got to dig the
plumbing,
the foundation.
Underneath. Yeah. Yeah. It's insane.
It just seems impossible. But she's down there, and it's very echoey, and it's very shadowy.
Yes.
And she's
going for a swim.
She thinks someone is following her, or someone else is in there in the gymnasium. So she jumps into the pool and starts screaming. And I'm thinking, that doesn't seem effective.
Well, the lights go out while she's in the pool, so suddenly she's in the dark. And there is what appears to be a big cat, walking around in the shadows.
We see a shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see shadows of water waves, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And and shadows of what looks like a big cat.
This was one of the more suspenseful scenes in the film.
I think it's supposed to be the most suspenseful scene, but I don't know. I was still like, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else.
Yeah. Well, the lights go. Well, she's screaming. The people up in the lobby hear the goings on. They go down to see what's up. They turn the lights on, and Irina is there. Oh, hello.
Oh, and she says she's looking for Oliver.
Right.
But then this scene goes on. I mean, or this night goes on. Like, this is a super long night.
Yeah.
Like the longest night on record.
Right.
Because 1,000 things happen in one night.
Well, there was suspense when she was on her way home.
Yeah.
When she's walking and she's like, she knows somebody's following her, and the cats are all kind of going crazy. And then the bus pulls up right next to her.
Yes.
With the screechy tires. That's the startling part.
Oh, right. And so she gets on the bus. She goes home. She tries to go for a swim. Irina's there. There's a cat there. Right. And then Irina leaves, and that's when Irina goes to see the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is all creepy again, or he's waiting for whatever happens. And then Oliver comes to settle Alice, who's all upset.
Right.
And then a whole other scene happens where Irina is back chasing them, or she's the panther or something. And Oliver holds up a cross to the panther and says, "In the name of God, leave us in peace."
Yeah.
And I thought, I don't think God has anything to do with this. Like, holding up crosses, isn't that for vampires and stuff?
They were in the office. It was one of those T-squares that were hanging on the wall. Like I said at the beginning, they had a bunch of T-squares hanging.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
I thought he had a cross.
He picked up a T-square.
He picked up a T-square and said in the name of God?
Yes. Yeah. Because then they show a shadow, because he's holding up the T-square, and then they show a shadow, and it looks like a cross because it's a T-square.
Oh my God. I didn't get that at all. Oh, that is dumb. Okay. All right.
And at that point, he's just like, he doesn't know. He's gonna try whatever he can.
Yeah. In the name of God.
Maybe
leave
this will
us
work.
In peace. All right. That's when Irina goes, she sees the psychiatrist again. He says he loves her. She turns into a panther and kills him.
Yes.
Then she goes back to the zoo with the key that she got from the custodian some time ago. She unlocks the panther's cage, lets the panther come out and knock her down.
Right.
And this, I get very confused here, but it looked to me at this point that she ended up with something stabbing her in the back.
She did. Because
is that another T-square?
No. No, that was the doctor's walking stick sword.
Oh.
Because in the psychiatrist, yeah, because in the apartment they had a whole big there was a big confrontation when she turned into the thing.
Yeah.
He had that sword, and he was trying to fight her off and stabbed her in the shoulder with it. And so she walks down to the zoo, and she's got this sword sticking out of her.
Oh, I didn't realize she. Okay, all right. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
All right. So the panther's knocked her down. She's been stabbed. Mm-hmm. She's laying on the ground. The panther runs and gets hit by a taxi.
Immediately.
Yeah. Immediately. And then Oliver and Alice come up.
Yeah.
There's a dead panther on the ground.
Yeah.
They think it's Irina.
Yeah.
But isn't it the panther that just got hit by the taxi?
Yeah.
And so they don't see dead Irina? Or does Irina also turn into a panther and is also dead on the ground?
We don't see... We see her dead on the ground. I don't remember if they see her dead on the ground.
They see a panther dead on the ground.
They see the panther.
And they think it's Irina turned into a panther.
Right.
But what I'm saying is we don't know. It could actually be that when killed, Irina turned into a panther, like in her, I think that's what we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, because you want to read the last thing I wrote in my notes?
I don't understand.
That's what I wrote. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I came away.
Either way. If they saw her or they saw the panther, they know she's dead. And the last word that is spoken from Oliver, he said, "She never lied to us."
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That wasn't a theme of the movie, lying. So it's not like that was.
No, but she also wasn't crazy.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, she was.
Well, she was.
You could be correct that you're under a curse and could turn into a panther at any time.
That doesn't make it not crazy.
It doesn't mean that you're not insane.
Well, call me crazy, but I'm not a liar.
You got me there. Like, this movie, I know it's supposed to be some kind of a classic, but I was like, what is happening here? I mean, I started the movie thinking, oh my God, they've got this panther in a horrible cage, and he's got a kitten in a box, and this is terrible. And I ended with it going,
what just happened?
I have no idea what happened. Look, my favorite character in the movie, John Paul Jones the cat.
Oh.
No, or it might be the pet store lady.
The pet store lady, big time. Yes. Yeah. Love that. I love when a minor character becomes your favorite, like the bank teller in that Johnny Cash movie.
Our listeners don't know about that. But if you do watch Walk the Line, there's an amazing performance that a woman gives as a bank teller.
Helen Ingebrigtsen. I remember her name.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yes.
She has like 2 lines, and people won Oscars for that movie. And I think her performance was more believable.
Yes, definitely.
This is more grounded, real.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the pet store lady.
No, she's not grounded and real at all. That performance is so over the top.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Whereas John Paul Jones, the cat, very believable performance.
Yes, very subtle.
Yes.
And nuanced performance. John Paul Jones, the cat.
Even the canary overacted when he died.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't figure out why she wouldn't just leave the bird alone. The bird was clearly frightened and was like backed into the corner of the cage and like making a huge fuss about, her reaching her hand in there. Leave it alone.
Well, I think we were supposed to understand that she was acting like a cat.
Yeah.
Like if a cat got its hand in a bird cage, because she was smiling and kind of laughing and acting like it was playful, even though she knew it was sinister.
There was a scene immediately after the bird died. She went back down to the zoo and threw the dead bird into the panther's cage.
Right. And then she later told Oliver that she was compelled to do so.
Yeah.
That she couldn't do anything else. This is what I had to do with the dead bird.
I just thought that at the very beginning of the film, when she's crumpling up her sketches and trying to throw them in the garbage can and missing by a mile. Oh. She had
I see what you're saying.
She had one shot with this bird and just sailed it perfectly right up in there. Just perfect, because there was a gap, maybe an 8 or 10 inch gap at the bottom of the cage where the concrete slab begins, and it went right in there.
So do you think that she was faking not being able to throw earlier, or that the other option would be that some kind of feline instinct kicks in when she's throwing the dead bird and she's got better aim? Not that cats have good aim.
No.
I don't even know.
No, I don't know what it is. But I think that probably took about 30, 40 takes to get that just right, because it was perfect right in there. I was very impressed with that.
Well, I'm glad. I was a little impressed. There's actually a sequence with some animation in it.
Oh, yes, where she's having a dream.
She's having a dream, and they're animated cats in the dream. And then, like, King John.
Right. King John shows up.
Yeah. And Elvis makes an appearance. No, of course not. But it was this wacky dream sequence.
It was wacky, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she showed up for a test at school naked.
Right.
So, she forgot her lines in the play. All the dream
all
tropes.
That classic stuff, yeah.
No, it's just she sees King John and she sees animated cats, and that's actually something this film is known for, right?
Oh, the animation.
Yeah, for having the animation sequence. So that was cool. So you're impressed by the toss of the bird. I was a little impressed by the use of animation in a 1942 film.
I think another thing that I liked was the cinematography in the hypnotherapy scene when she was being hypnotized. Everything was completely blacked out, completely dark, except a bright, bright light shining directly on her face.
Well, I liked all the shadows in the gymnasium pool scene.
Yeah, that was
really well done.
That was good.
The combination of the shadows of the water and the echoing in the pool.
Yeah.
I understand what they were going for, and I'm sure, that has caused tension for people.
Sure. Yeah. At the time, I'm sure it was. People couldn't stand it.
For years afterwards, I'm sure it's just now. I'm like,
yeah.
Show me the big cat. Yeah. That's all I got. I didn't get much out of this.
Not scary.
Not scary. And I don't have anything else to say. Harriet?
What about you, Harriet?
Do you have anything to add? I heard you slept through it.
She slept through it, yes.
All right. Well, that's all I have.
Okay.
I mean, would you tell people to watch it?
I think people should watch it. It is a classic. It's a little bit goofy, and it's probably hasn't aged well. I mean, with the depiction of how animals are kept in zoos and
yeah, it's disturbing. If you don't like to see animals in zoos, I wouldn't watch this movie.
And pet shops and whatnot.
Yeah, if you don't like pet shops, don't watch this movie. If you don't like Serbian restaurants, I wouldn't watch this movie. If you don't like creepy psychiatrists, I definitely don't recommend this movie. But I don't know, maybe some people want to watch it.
It's short. It's 73 minutes.
It's 73 minutes. If you've got 73 minutes and this is what you want to watch, there's so many other things you could do with 73 minutes. So
it's not that awful. We've seen worse movies. We've seen better
But that's the thing, is I'm more likely to recommend a terrible movie that's amusing in its terribleness.
Yeah.
Like I would, last year's
Ghost Cat?
October episode, that's a great movie. Go watch Ghost Cat.
It's a great bad movie.
I would much prefer people watch Ghost Cat than cat people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty.
We're going to end there?
I guess that's it.
Okay. Go play with your cats.
Go play with your cats.
Bye.
Bye.